Hi everyone, welcome to another episode. We got 3 more movies to talk about. Let's get started. Ang Lee's Gemini Man is so unmemorable as an action film that any discussion of it is going to come down to technology. And that's regardless of if you saw it in high frame rate 3D, if you saw it in IMAX, if you saw it in 24 frames a second, or you streamed it on Hulu like I did. There are arguments to be made for and against all those formats. Dan Olson did a great video about that. But even if you saw it on a streaming service like I did, it comes down to technology because this movie lives or dies about how believable the doppelganger Will Smith is. The plot is simple and cliched. Will Smith is an assassin. He's trying to retire. He's brought out of retirement when he finds that he's being hunted down by an unknown killer. That unknown killer is his clone. The problem with Gemini Man is simple. The clone is distracting. And it's forgivable if the plot were engaging, but it's not. It is just your normal action plot. So you're left to just stare at the clone, and while it looks good at some points, mostly in solo shots, the clone looks terrible in other shots. And those shots usually include actual Will Smith. You can trick the eye as long as you don't have something to compare it to, and Will Smith proper is in this movie. The reason Benjamin Button worked at any point in time was because you never had to compare younger Brad Pitt to older Brad Pitt. So it becomes a distraction, it becomes a focal point when you're watching this film. And at no point in the film does it look worse than it does in the final sequence, which is shot in broad daylight. You can't hide anything. Will Smith standing next to himself. And it's just an obvious computer effect. It looks terrible. It's incredibly distracting. But this movie just comes down to this. And since the doppelganger is not believable and the effects aren't good, the movie is not good. Maybe if the plot was more engaging, I would give it some leeway. But it's just an action movie. We've seen this plot hundreds of times at this point, and that's all it comes down to. Dan Olson's video, while long, breaks down the different versions of Gemini Man and why they look as bad as they do. Check his video out after you watch the rest of this one, please. I'll put a link in the description. The Dead Don't Die. Jim Jarmusch did a zombie movie. Cool. The problem with a movie like The Dead Don't Die is that people who like zombie films will probably watch it not knowing what they're getting into. Jim Jarmusch makes very specific movies, let's say, with a specific pacing. This movie is a comedy, but it is bone dry. Very, very dry. Incredibly dry. And that dryness plus its pacing will be off-putting to a lot of viewers. I enjoyed the film, although it is flawed. Very, very flawed. There are several breaking the fourth wall moments that don't work at all. If that was what this movie is, then that's one thing, but they seem thrown in as an afterthought. So in that case, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Bill Murray and Adam Driver are very good together as the small town cops who are faced with a zombie crisis. There's something hilarious about Adam Driver's deadpan reactions to zombie violence. It's very deadpan. Did I mention this movie's incredibly dry? If you don't like a slow pace, if you do not like a very deadpan comedic delivery, this movie's not for you. But if you've seen Jarmusch's other movies and you've liked them, give this one a shot. It's entertaining, but there are elements of it that I don't think worked as well. Vivarium stars Jesse Eisenberg and Imogen Poots, whose name I'm probably pronouncing wrong. They are a young couple trying to buy a house, so they go to a realtor who takes them to a subdivision in which they get trapped. This subdivision is idealistic, but also a hellscape. And the entire movie is these two characters plus the child they are gifted, who's a bit of a question mark, losing their sanity. If there's ever a metaphor for 2020 being stuck in a house you can never leave, Vivarium is it. And I really like this film, although I didn't love it. It's a hard movie to love, because from the moment the child arrives, you understand where the plot is going, and there's no surprises once that happens. Okay, maybe one or two surprises. The movie has a very weird streak. This is not your normal Hollywood film. It does take chances at times, and those chances, more often than not, create an environment that is very creepy, and that's what this movie wants to be, is just a underlying creep fest. The performances from both lead actors are very good. The movie shot incredibly well. It looks great the entire time, but it's a hard film to get super excited about. But sometimes a film can just be entertaining during its running time and you don't have to think about it ever again, and that's what I think of Vivarium. Have you seen any of these movies? I'll see you in comments, and I will see you on the next episode of 366 2020. Thanks for watching.